From a court judgment that further cements the role of the National Assembly in our democracy to an investigative hearing that captures the attention of the country, the National Assembly was just the place to be this week. Hello and welcome, I'm Lanre Lasese, and as usual, we follow the tracks of lawmakers in the National Assembly this week. While committees were still meeting with ministries, departments and agencies to conclude work on the 2018 budget proposal, the House Committee on Capital Market and Institutions was the center of attention as it considered the face-off between the Minister of Finance and the suspended Director General of the Securities and Exchange Commission. Here is how it played out.
Motion say aye. Those against it say nay. Ayes have it.
It was on December the 1st, 2017, when the House of Representatives mandated its Committee on Capital Market to intervene in the face-off between the Minister of Finance and the suspended Director General of the Securities and Exchange Commission.
I, Munir Halir Gwarzo, do solemnly affirm that whatever I will say before this panel will be the truth and nothing but the truth.
A few months after, members of the committee, as well as the parties involved, were before the panel to state their sides of the story. The suspended Director General of the Securities and Exchange Commission speaks on the illegality of his suspension.
The first part of the submission looked at the public service rule, which the Honourable Minister made reference to in writing my suspension letter. And we noticed that the section of the public service rule that she quoted actually does not exist in the public service rule, because she quoted 03405 and 03406, which does not exist. But we anticipate that the intention was to make reference to 030405, 030405. And we also look at that section and strongly believe that that section does not give her that power to suspend me. We also look at the Investment and Securities Act, which clearly my appointment letter says everything regarding the DG of SEC should be governed by the provision of the Investment and Securities Act.
Mr. Gwarzo also denies awarding contracts to 3 of his private companies while he was Director General of the Commission.
Medusa has never had any business with SEC. The letter of suspension issued to me by the Honourable Minister alleged that Medusa was doing business in SEC. Medusa has never done any business in SEC. 2, Medusa has never done any business with any company that does business with SEC. 3, the company is not a capital market operator. The company is not a listed company. And the company has never done any business with any capital market operator or any company. The question, therefore, is where does the conflict of interest arise? I do not deny the fact that I'm a signatory to Medusa. I do not deny the fact that, yes, I participate in the business that the company is doing, but I strongly deny the fact that Medusa has done any business in SEC. And given that position, I do not see how it amounts to conflict of interest. At a particular time, when the company secretary was not able to, did not file it, we were confronted with an urgency in terms of getting an ATM. And erroneously, because he has not filed it and we needed it, there was a board resolution and I signed. And I stated in my submission that it's regrettable. And I considered that, yes, that was an error, and I said, and I regret doing that. Apart from that, there is nothing that brings conflict between myself and Medusa. The third company is Outbound. Outbound is a company owned by my brother-in-laws. Again, I resigned from the board of Outbound. There's no record, and I challenge anybody to bring any record that will show that I have any business or financial relationship with Outbound. I have not signed any document. There's no document I have ever signed on behalf of Outbound.
When the Minister of Finance was called to state her case, she says Mr. Gwarzo's suspension was in the interest of the nation's capital market.
We believe that our decision to suspend Mr. Munir was vindicated. We cannot have somebody sitting at the helm of affairs and to suggest that it's only when the FCC arrests them that then they can be removed. That's not good for Nigeria. We don't have to wait for our officers to be paraded in handcuffs before the international community, before we take action. We swore a solemn oath to serve the people, and we must sometimes have to make very, very tough and unpalatable decisions. We didn't take this decision easily. We knew that he would try to link it to Oando, but we have to stand up and do the right thing. Oando is listed both in Canada and in South Africa. Why would we wait until the DG SEC is in handcuffs before we take action? That's not governance. So that's why we took a preemptive action to get him out of SEC, investigate. And you will recall in the previous suspension, the DG was then recalled. So after being suspended, you either exonerated and recalled, or other action is taken.
The minister also reveals how investigation at the Corporate Affairs Commission shows he's still a member in his private companies.
I think that the position that we took to suspend Mr. Munir was the right one. It instilled confidence in the capital market. It told investors that Nigeria takes seriously issues of integrity and that their funds, which we work very, very hard to attract into Nigeria, are safe. That decisions that are being taken by fit and proper persons.
There was opportunity to ask the two parties questions.
You were questioned, or rather interviewed, by EFCC and ICPC. Could you tell us what was the issues of that investigation? And then who and what investigative panel investigated Oando? I mean the forensic author. Who investigated them and who did set them up? Did Oando at any time accuse you of impropriety or any accusation whatsoever, or being impartial and so on? And what is technical suspension? And lastly, since my 2 minutes is there, did you translate from commissioner to DG, or you had a break in translating, like how many months after the appointment of commissioner